Hey guys, remember to like the video and hit subscribe. Nobody likes crime. Not even black people like crime, believe it or not. I know it's crazy. Brown people don't like socialism, especially if they fled from Cuba or Venezuela. These people are not coming here looking for socialism, right? So I feel like Republicans stumbled into this like weird world where like, okay, let's just try to appeal to like our base. And then like other people like brown and black and people of other races are like, oh, this sounds kind of base. Yeah, the woke and you know, whatever, I just work and whoever yeah, let's go. And so like Republicans, did the color of my light just change? Republicans just like stumbled into these like better positions. And meanwhile, Democrats are trying to be like, okay, like how do we ensure that black people know how much we love and respect them by getting rid of like the cops and defund the police and all these like weird, trying to pander to every different group. And it's like, I think that you should come back and let's just like, what do we think of, you know, let's just like figure out like what everybody wants and what, you know, like the general, like build the base up, your base ideology first. And then you can do like a little bit of catering, maybe. That's like the feeling that I'm, oh, damn, what is this?
Well, here's the, you don't think.
Oh God, 3.5 minutes of Asmongold? You're gonna do this to me? Something you said a long time ago that stuck with me is that white people from Europe are more liberal on average than brown people from South America / Asia. Yeah, one of the issues is, and it's kind of funny because this brings back a really old anti-SJW talking point that I think is true, that I repeat a lot, is that like, don't ever, oh, I said this in my debate with Peterson, don't ever mind yourself into believing that because your group of friends is more colorful, that somehow they're more diverse. Like we enforce a lot of ideological homogeneity on our friend groups now. So just because you have a bunch of like black and brown and, you know, like and European and South American, like just and African and all these other and Indian, just because you have all these friends that all support your ideas and you think like, okay, look, I've got like a really diverse movement. It's like, motherfucker, these are all college kids in the most liberal colleges in the United States. These people do not represent the average like racial minority in the US. Don't bullshit yourself into thinking that. You have the most orthodoxy group of thinkers in the universe. That's great that they all look different, but ideologically, you guys are like in lockstep, okay? Like you have Hispanic friends that are championing the idea of Latinx, all right? Nobody gives a about this shit outside of your group of friends. Or you have like black, like an ordinary black person in the United States is not talking about, what is it? What's the term? Western imperialism or, oh God, there's a, the thing where you're always just shitting, it only ever applies to conquering imperialism. What's the word I'm looking for? What's the word I'm looking for? Not BIPOC. Colonialism. Yeah. Average black person, an average person of descent from any African place, any Asian place, any South American place, is not talking about colonialism, okay? You've bullshitted yourself into thinking that you have these crazy diverse positions, but you don't. These are like exclusively like ivory tower positions. Like most people don't give a about this shit. Like most Latinos would like, not to be me, but would like beat the shit out of their daughter if she was having like premarital sex. Probably not that bad anymore, right? But like these are not your progressive stalwarts that you seem to have like tricked yourself into thinking that they are, bro. But I don't know, yeah. So Republicans, just by treating, it's so funny, like inadvertently by just treating everybody like the same kind of person, I think they lucked into appealing to a lot more people than the Democrats. I wasn't going to say this until after the DNC election, but I call that now, I guess, Jesus. But I mean, I'm still invested. I wish for the best. I don't know if you guys noticed this, but there was one question, and I loved everybody that I interviewed, okay? I loved everybody that I interviewed. There was one question that I asked that, I don't think I asked this to Williamson, because she was out there and everything, that every single person I asked this question to failed. Oh, you noticed this? Yeah. When I asked all of these candidates, because I think I asked Wickler, and Skoufis, and O'Malley, and guys that I liked a lot of their positions and everything. And I said like, hey, so my fan base is a bunch of like white men. What are you going to do about like young white men? Because it feels like nobody wants to talk to them. And everybody generalized that. Nobody wanted to touch that. I think O'Malley said, well, we need to worry about all the people in the United States. I think, oh no, I might have asked, did I ask Miriam or Williamson? I think I asked her that. And she was like, well, women have these problems too. Yeah. And then I think Wickler and Skoufis also were like, oh yeah, we have to do things. Wickler's answer was okay. I think Wickler brought it back, but it's irritating to me because progressives have the language for it where like if a black person says like, hey, like I think it's kind of bullshit that there are certain things relating to my ethnicity that I have to deal with in the United States that you never have to think about. And a white person's like, okay, well, what about my problems? Or like when a woman is like, hey, like I have to worry about, you know, like harassment or whatever else. And a guy's like, okay, well, we get harassed too. Like, have you seen video game lobbies? Like it's bad for us too. No matter what, you take away their complaint and you all lives matter them, right? And every candidate, when I interviewed them, every single candidate did this to me when I was like, what about like young white men? And they were like, well, what about everybody else? And I was like, damn, okay. That was kind of, geez. Ro Khanna did the same when you talked to him in the past about young men. Yeah, he might have, because I think I asked him a question about education, but I was very intentional for the DNC candidates. Oh, I'm glad I did ask Williamson about that. I'm glad I did. But it's like, geez, this is a problem, guys. Can we not just say this? Can we not just say, like, that's just kind of blackpilling that I get this. And you guys aren't even running for like huge national seats where like the diversity vote or whatever matters. This is like, it's 448 insiders, DNC people that are voting on this. So you don't even have to try to do this super appeal. But yeah, what's the right answer? The right answer is you should be able to talk specifically to young white men problems. You should be able to say like, yeah, I think we failed young white men. And in this way, there's a reason why we've lost all of them or so many of them to the Tates and the Petersons and the Shapiros. It can't just be that you're praying for women to save your movement or minorities to save your movement. Like we should, I mean, like Democrats have done a lot of good things for white men too. Like we have to be able to take credit for that and then to speak to it, I think. But to be fair, are white males' problems truly limited to only white men? It seems like in general, it's all young men. Yeah, but the issue is like, and this is why like that 4chan troll was so good for the all lives matter thing. When somebody says like all lives matter, you should be able to say like, yeah, of course, but like we just want to talk about like black issues with this movement. But of course all lives matter. You shouldn't fight the slogan, right? And so when somebody says like, oh, like what should we do about young black men? We can talk about that, or young Asian men, or young Hispanic men, or young whatever. Then we can have all those conversations. But then when it's like young white men, it has to be generalized. Like that's too scary of a demographic to even talk to. And I think that's a really big problem. I think that's an issue, I think. What has Dems done for white men? Well, I don't know if you would say white men specifically, but for just in terms of like econ policy that helps the entire country. I think that Dems have done a much better job than any of the conservatives have. Conservatives help rich white men, but that's basically it. Yeah. Have you ever had a way to combat people who argue the punching up and down argument that it feels like most people are too scared to talk about? Yeah, I don't that shit. That I don't believe in that shit. Punching up and down is cringe. I think punching up and down is just an excuse for people who either lucked into a certain race or they lucked into or lied their way into a certain gender disposition, like become bullies. I think I used to use the term punching up and down, but I think there's something more specific that I'm talking about. And I think I even was hinting at it when I spoke about it before. I just didn't have the better language to describe it. The reason why I think punching up feels okay is because hopefully, usually it's not like ultra vitriolic. Like you don't feel when Dave Chappelle is making fun of white people that he actually hates white people. But for certain white people making fun of black people, it's like, okay, wait, hold on, buddy. We need to figure this out. But people have taken that punching up and down thing to mean if I'm punching up, I can literally be as hateful and racist or misandrous as I want to like another group as long as I have less power than them, which is insane. To make this all about me, smaller streamers also do this, where a small streamer, Ethan has had to deal with this a lot recently, Ethan Klein, a smaller streamer thinks that they can just say whatever the they want and be as like disgusting and vitriolic and nasty as possible to somebody. Like, oh, well, that's a bigger streamer, I should be able to do this with no repercussions whatsoever. Yeah, I think that's wild. And Katie did that during the Israel-Palestine arc. Yeah, I think it's generalized because they face general problems shared by other men. What specifically only hurts white men that also has a specific solution. I think that in general, I think that white America has done bad things to minorities in the past, and we've had to kind of like deal with that and have like a reckoning about that. However, white America has also done like a lot of really amazing things too. And I think the issue is when you talk about feeling horrible for the things that America has done, I don't care if you agree with me or not, I'm just right on this. That is a burden that is solely placed on the white man. Not even the white woman has this burden. When you talk about America bad, what you're really saying is white man bad. Nobody talks about imperialism and colonialism and they're blaming like American leaders who are not white, because a lot of them have been white. It's always about the white man. So I'm not even sure. I mean, like, there are things that apply specifically to white people having to do with like suicidality maybe and the opioid crisis maybe, but you got to figure something out. It can't be that you have all this language, all this academic jargon to shit on white people over and over and over again, but you have nothing to build them up for. Because the issue is you're treating white people and black people differently at that point, right? If you can be sensitive enough to talk about microaggressions, and I use that expression very seriously, I think microaggressions are the worst thing in the world. I think they're worse than overt racism or sexism, because micro things are things that will drive you crazy over long periods of time. You can't call them out because it's a small thing and you feel like a crazy person calling it out. But like if progressives can understand how annoying like a microaggression can be, or just overtly being bad to somebody over a long period of time, how can you expect like white, especially young white people, to endure the same thing and not have an issue with it? Like that's not gonna, that just is not gonna fly. It can't be that way. So one of the things that O'Malley said that I really liked was when he tries to phrase things, he tries to do, he said, and, but, so. So instead of just saying a thing is good, you say like, white people, young white men have more opportunities than they've ever had in the past in America today. And we're doing a really great job at assisting with that through things like the Infrastructure Act that'll give probably a lot of money to white people who are doing these types of jobs or own these types of companies. But there are specific issues facing white people, like suicidality especially, or the opioid crisis in the past. So that's the but, and then the so, these are things we're going to do to target these types of issues so that as other people in society make gains, other ethnicities make gains, white people don't feel like they're being left behind. I think that like that and, but, so is a really important formula. Destiny, you can't be racist against white people. Academic literature is abused to shit by, frankly, anti-white racists who just want to, oh, that too. Oh, yeah, you have to be way better calling out racism by non-white people. That flew, even I was calling that out like 6 years ago. Who was it, Professor Flowers, who debated Vosh? Was that like 6 years ago? Was that long ago? There are a lot of people, that's why I don't like that punching up or down thing anymore. There are a lot of people who do that anti-white racism. They're just hateful, evil. They're just bullies. That's what they are. Like if they would have been white, they would have been a KKK member. They would have been a neo-Nazi saluting Sam Hyde 100%. They just happen to be born a minority and they get a free pass to be disgusting, hateful people. Those people need to have their shit checked way the more, in my opinion, but not in my opinion. They do. Thank you. Okay. What's our good largest political commentator on Twitch talking about?
You don't think like anything that they do? Well, here's the big thing that I think a lot of people need to understand. Do not put divisive political issues in video games.
Okay. Oh, emotivism. When they say things, remember, you just have to understand what they're saying. When he says, don't put divisive political issues in video games, what he's actually saying is, don't represent a political opinion that I don't like in video games. Because if there was a video game and there was a scene where there was like some soy SJW and you like run them over with your car, it would be the most hilarious, epic thing in the world, right? So just be aware of like what he's saying when he says this.
Put divisive political issues in video games. Your opinion of what is divisive is not relevant. What people's opinion of what is divisive is relevant. Let me give you an example.
Some of the most popular video games of all time, in my opinion, and just matter-of-factly, are the Metal Gear Solid games, which are intensely political. Probably almost any game that involves like war or whatever is going to be intensely political. The GTA games, I didn't play 5 to be fair. Which one had CJ? Was that 4 or 3? And I played Vice City and GTA 2. These games were like dripping with social commentary. You could just hop into, that was GTA San Andreas. Bioshock 1 and 2 were explicitly political, like divisive political stuff. Bioshock 1 was like a love letter or a hate letter, I guess, depending on how you see it, to Ayn Randian libertarianism. Bioshock 2 was the one with the little girls. Did they do the socialist memes in that one? I don't even remember 2 that much. I don't know what they did as much for 3. But these games were, Fallout is, these games are insanely political in nature. But
the Elon Musk Nazi salute thing, I don't agree with the amount of people that are angry about it.
He's not talking about that type of political. He's talking about Veilguard with the cringe scene where the one character yells at her parents about her pronouns and trans coming out. Yeah, I've never seen this and it sounds cringe. But like some games and some movies have like cringe writing and are cringe. Just because it's like political doesn't make it like an extra bad cringe. Some things are just like cringe. Like there was nothing political about Titus laughing in Final Fantasy X, but it's like one of the oldest like classic cringe moments in like all of video game. Like there's like, yeah, sometimes video games are cringe, but like
I think that they're being unreasonable. But I acknowledge that they exist. And there are a lot of them.
the problem is that you take an already established franchise and change it. My friend, what established franchise is not constantly being changed with every new reboot and every new remake and every new sequel and every, like, bro, everything is changing constantly always. Like that's just the nature of all media.
You don't have to agree with something in order to know that it is real.
Destiny, the problem is that the left keep putting their politics in a cringe way. Yeah, if I believed this to be true, and I think that people were like tired of politics being involved in stuff, then the right would be making apolitical stuff, but they're not. They're making even more political stuff. It's just on their side. So I don't think the issue is we don't like politics in our stuff. It's we want politics that we agree with. Like that Sound of Freedom movie was a big fucking jerk off to combating illegal immigrant human traffickers or Lady Ballers or any of the Daily Wire movies. It's not like these guys are like, oh, well, we should make our own apolitical content. It's we're going to make political stuff on our end. Okay, that's swallows Trump loads. Let's go.
There is this massive problem that these people have, that they think that if they don't talk about the problem, eventually it will go away. That never works. It never works. It never, like, you can't just ignore the elephant in the room and eventually it turns into an ant. That's not what happens. They pretend it doesn't exist. Yes, exactly. And so they just signed that new bill. Yeah, teeth fall. Well, yeah, there we go. And that's why they lost the election. We're tired. Well, I think so. I think that a lot of people are tired of being gaslighted. That's exactly what happened. Where thought games are made to escape reality. Yeah.
Isn't the problem with woke politics in games that they're not subtle enough? Cyberpunk is arguably woke since there are body modifications, but the game is widely accepted. Yeah, but it's not just politics, it's just everything.